In the heart of Europe lies a country that refuses to choose sides. It is a member of the European Union and NATO, yet often defies both. It trades freely with the West, but depends on Russian gas to keep its lights on. Its leaders shake hands with Washington and then meet in Moscow and Beijing. This country is Hungary, a small landlocked nation with a history larger than its size, a nation that survived empires, revolutions, and occupations, not by fighting them, but by navigating between them. Today, as war reshapes Eastern Europe, Hungary once again stands at the center of a geopolitical storm. Critics call it a rebel within the European family. Supporters see it as a bridge, a nation that dares to chart its own path. But to understand why Hungary behaves differently from every other country around it, we must look not at its politics, but at its geography. At first glance, Hungary seems small, a compact land at the center of Europe, with no mountains to guard it and no seas to defend it. Yet few places are as strategically placed. Hungary lies in the heart of the Carpathian Basin, a vast natural bowl surrounded by mountains. The Alps to the west, the Carpathians to the north and east, and the Dinaric Alps to the south. Inside this ring stretches the Pannonian Plain, one of the most fertile regions in all of Europe. It is Hungary's greatest economic asset, and also its greatest vulnerability. Across this open plain, armies have marched freely for centuries. From Mongols and Ottomans to Germans and Soviets, the land's openness has made it a prize. And a passage, the country shares borders with 7 neighbors: Slovakia, Ukraine, Romania, Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, and Austria. Surrounded on every side, Hungary depends on good relations to keep its trade, its energy, and its security alive. Its position makes diplomacy not a choice, but a survival skill. Through its center flows the Danube River, Europe's great artery, a highway of history that links Budapest to Vienna, Belgrade, and the Black Sea. The Danube is Hungary's lifeline to the world, the route through which its goods, ideas, and alliances travel. This geography explains everything about Hungary's destiny. Without natural barriers or ocean access, the nation's strength has always come from connection rather than isolation. Here, Western Europe fades into the Slavic East. Latin influence meets the steppe, and the boundaries of continents blur. Geography made Hungary vulnerable, but also indispensable. It is a bridge that cannot be ignored, a crossroads at the heart of Europe, where the map itself decides its history. Geography made Hungary a bridge. Over the centuries, every empire that sought to dominate Europe has fought for this land. And each conquest reshaped not only its borders, but its way of thinking about power, freedom, and identity. That story still explains the Hungary we see today. And for Hungary, destiny has always come wearing the boots of foreign soldiers. Its open plains have carried the march of empires, its rivers the echoes of wars. Yet through every conquest, Hungary endured and adapted. In 896, the Magyars, a nomadic steppe people, arrived in the Carpathian Basin and made it home. They built a Christian kingdom that would defend Europe's eastern edge for centuries. In 1241, Mongol hordes devastated the land at Mohi. In 1526, at Mohacs, the Ottoman Turks shattered the Hungarian army and swept across the plains. For 150 years, Hungary became the frontier between Islam and Christendom, a land of fortresses, crusaders, and survival. Half ruled by the Turks, half by the Habsburgs of Austria. When the Ottomans were finally expelled, Hungary was absorbed into the Habsburg Empire, losing independence but gaining stability. The 1867 Compromise created the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Budapest rose as a co-capital, its architecture rivaling Vienna. But beneath the grandeur, nationalism simmered. And when World War I tore the empire apart, Hungary lost 2/3 of its territory under the Treaty of Trianon in 1920, a wound that still shapes its national psyche. Today, 3 million ethnic Hungarians woke up in foreign countries. In the 20th century, new powers arrived. Nazi Germany pulled Hungary into its orbit, then the Soviet Union replaced it. In 1948, communism was imposed by force. In 1956, Hungarians rose in revolution against Moscow's control and were crushed in blood and fire. Only in 1989 did Hungary reclaim its sovereignty, cutting the Iron Curtain to Austria and helping trigger the fall of the Berlin Wall. It joined NATO and the European Union, embracing the West. But centuries of occupation left a memory that runs deep. The knowledge that freedom in Hungary is never guaranteed. It is negotiated. And that instinct, forged through 1,000 years of invasion, partition, and survival, still defines its politics today. Not as defiance, but as pragmatism. In a land that has belonged to empires but never forgotten its name, survival isn't a choice, it's a skill. Empires came and went, but something deeper endured: the Hungarian spirit. A language unlike any other in Europe, and a culture that turns survival into identity. This is what makes Hungary different. Empires came and went, but something deeper endured: the Hungarian spirit. A culture born in the plains of Central Europe, yet unlike any of its neighbors. The Hungarian language, Magyar, is a mystery on the European map. It shares no roots with German, Slavic, or Latin tongues. Instead, it belongs to the Finno-Ugric family, linking it distantly to Finnish and Estonian. This linguistic isolation forged a powerful sense of identity. To be Hungarian is not just to live in a land, it is to belong to a language that almost no one else speaks. That uniqueness became both shield and symbol. Through centuries of domination, the language carried memory when politics erased borders. Poems, folk songs, and legends kept alive what treaties and empires tried to divide. The Carpathian Basin became home not only to Hungarians, but to many ethnicities: Slovaks, Romanians, Serbs, Croats, and Jews, each leaving traces in the nation's culture. Out of that diversity came a paradoxical strength. Hungary learned to absorb influences without losing itself. In the cities, this spirit is visible in every street of Budapest, where Ottoman baths, Habsburg palaces, and modern architecture coexist in one skyline. In the countryside, it lives through tradition: the music of the sarda, the art of horsemen on the Great Plain, the family table where paprika, goulash, and wine turn survival into celebration. Through hardship and occupation, Hungarians preserved not only their customs but their confidence, a quiet conviction that they are different, yet essential to Europe's story. And that conviction shapes how Hungary acts today. Because in modern politics, as in history, identity is not just memory, it is strategy. The memory of survival still guides Hungary. But in our time, survival takes a different form. It is written not in battles but in politics. And no one understands that better than Viktor Orbán. The memory of survival still guides Hungary. But in our time, survival takes a different form. It is written not in battles, but in politics. And no one understands that better than Viktor Orbán. To some, he is a defender of national sovereignty. To others, a populist who rewrote the rules of democracy itself. Orbán rose to prominence after the fall of communism, a young, Western-educated politician calling for freedom from Soviet rule. But as Hungary transitioned into democracy, he saw how quickly political ideals could be replaced by dependence on foreign capital and influence from Brussels. Over the decades, Orbán built a system that he calls an illiberal democracy, a model that keeps the institutions of democracy, elections, parliaments, courts, yet places power in the hands of a single, centralized vision. For Orbán, the state is not the enemy of liberty. It is the guardian of identity. Under his rule, the media, the judiciary, and education were reshaped to reflect what he calls Hungarian values. Critics see control and propaganda. Supporters see protection and stability. The strategy works. His party, Fidesz, has dominated politics for more than a decade, benefiting from a carefully designed electoral system and a narrative built around three words: God, nation, and family. And beneath it all lies Trianon, the wound of 1920, which Orbán keeps alive, granting citizenship to ethnic Hungarians beyond the borders and turning historical grievance into political capital internationally. Orbán positions Hungary as a voice of resistance inside the European Union, opposing mass migration, defending cultural conservatism, and maintaining energy ties with Russia, even during the war in Ukraine. While Europe sent weapons to Kyiv, Orbán blocked sanctions and military aid, citing dependence on Hungary's own minority in western Ukraine. He courts investment from China and plays east against west to the west. He is controversial. To many Hungarians, he is continuity, the latest expression of a centuries-old instinct, to survive by choosing a path no one else dares to walk. But Orbán's Hungary is more than a political story. It's also an economic one, built on dependence, diversification, and strategic ambition. Hungary and the Ukraine War, between alliance and distance. Hungary has become one of the most distinctive cases in contemporary European politics. A member of both NATO and the European Union, yet often at odds with both, Viktor Orbán's Hungary stands as a symbolic frontier between two worlds: liberal West and authoritarian East. Since the outbreak of the war in Ukraine, Budapest has maintained an ambiguous stance. While it formally condemned Russia's invasion in international forums, it has consistently refused to send weapons to Kyiv and has blocked several EU financial and military aid packages. Orbán justifies this position by claiming to protect Hungary from a war that is not ours, prioritizing national energy security, which remains deeply dependent on Russian gas. Unlike its European partners, Hungary has not imposed direct sanctions on Moscow. Its economic and political ties with Russia, including the expansion of the PAC's nuclear plant using Russian technology, reflect a pragmatic strategy to preserve the advantages of the East without fully severing ties with the West. In July 2024, Orbán made his first visit to Ukraine since the start of the conflict. The trip, rich in symbolism, was presented as a gesture of reconciliation, but also of pressure. Orbán demanded guarantees for the Hungarian minority in Transcarpathia, around 150,000 people, whom Budapest claims are being discriminated against by Ukraine's language laws. His meeting with Zelensky sought to portray Hungary as a potential mediator, while maintaining its critical posture toward Brussels and its cordial relations with Moscow-Hungary, thus embodies a moral and strategic dilemma. Formally allied with the West, yet emotionally tied to the East. Between Washington, Brussels, and Moscow, Orbán strives to maintain a delicate balance, one that makes his country the true last frontier of Europe. The economic chessboard: energy, industry, and investment. Hungary has no oil, no gas, and no access to the sea. Yet it has learned to turn geography into strategy. In the heart of Central Europe, between Vienna, Bratislava, and the Balkans, the country has become an economic chessboard where the interests of East and West compete for influence. Its Achilles heel is energy. Nearly 80% of the gas it consumes comes from Russia. This dependency explains much of Viktor Orbán's foreign policy. While the European Union pushes for energy diversification, Budapest continues to sign deals with Gazprom and supports the expansion of the PAC's nuclear plant using Russian technology. For Orbán, energy pragmatism is not ideology, it's national survival. At the same time, Hungary has become a magnet for European investment, especially from Germany. Companies such as Audi, Mercedes-Benz, and Bosch have built major industrial complexes employing tens of thousands of Hungarians, consolidating the country as a pillar of Europe's automotive supply chain. This economic interdependence with Germany, its main trading partner, ensures stability and a steady flow of capital, even amid political friction with Brussels. Budapest has also strengthened its role as a regional financial hub and logistical bridge to the Balkans. Its position within the pan-European transport network and its business-friendly tax policies have made it an attractive base for banks, insurers, and multinational corporations seeking access to Eastern and Southeastern Europe. Thus, Hungary has built a finely balanced economy, dependent on Russian gas yet sustained by German capital, critical of Brussels yet reliant on EU funds. On this chessboard where every move matters, Orbán plays a strategic game of survival, keeping everyone engaged, yet never belonging entirely to any side. A small economy, but an indispensable piece in Europe's geopolitical game. While Europe watches China's rise with caution, Hungary has chosen to open the door. Since coming to power, Viktor Orbán has pursued a strategy known as the Eastern Opening, a policy aimed at diversifying partners and reducing the country's economic dependence on the West. On that chessboard, China occupies the central square. Budapest was the first member of the European Union to join the Belt and Road Initiative, Beijing's ambitious global infrastructure project. Through this partnership, Hungary aims to become Asia's gateway to the European market, a logistical and financial bridge linking Berlin and Beijing. The most visible symbol of this relationship is the Budapest-Belgrade Railway, financed largely through Chinese loans and built by companies from both countries. This corridor, which will connect China-managed Piraeus port in Greece to Central Europe, is designed to shorten transit times for Asian goods bound for the heart of the continent. Behind the tracks lies a geopolitical move, Hungary positioning itself as the first European stop on the new Silk Road. The country has also attracted major Chinese investment in strategic sectors such as electric mobility and technology. Companies like CATL, the world's largest battery manufacturer, are building massive facilities on Hungarian soil, reinforcing the nation's role in Europe's green transition. For Orbán, this opening to the East is not only economic but ideological. A bet on a multipolar world in which Hungary depends neither solely on Brussels nor on Washington. Thus, the smallest country in Central Europe plays one of the biggest games, connecting China with Europe and positioning itself as the eastern gateway to the European Union. Orbán and Trump, a political and ideological alliance. When Viktor Orbán and Donald Trump meet, it's not just two leaders shaking hands, it's two worldviews aligning. Both embody a political project built on national sovereignty, a rejection of globalism, and the defense of conservative values against Western liberalism. Their friendship, forged during Trump's presidency, has shaped a new ideological axis that stretches across the Atlantic. Their most recent meeting, held in Washington, D.C., in 2025, carried deep symbolic weight. As Europe continued to distance itself from Moscow and align with Washington in support of Ukraine, Orbán chose to visit a former president still challenging the American establishment. The encounter was widely interpreted as a signal. Hungary is betting on a Trumpist America, more nationalist, more transactional, and less interventionist, even before knowing who will occupy the White House next. Trump has publicly praised Orbán as a defender of Christian civilization and a model of firm leadership against immigration and EU bureaucracy. Orbán, for his part, presents Hungary as an alternative model to Western liberalism, a strong conservative state proud of its sovereignty and cultural identity. This ideological affinity continues to shape diplomatic realities. Under the current U.S. administration, relations between Washington and Budapest have cooled. Hungary faces criticism for its proximity to Russia and China, and for its defiant stance toward Brussels. Yet Orbán views his renewed contact with Trump as a strategic investment, a chance to redefine Hungary's position within the Western axis, but on its own terms. More than a personal bond, the Orbán-Trump alliance embodies the rise of a transatlantic movement that challenges the liberal order and promotes a new narrative, that of strong, identity-driven nations determined to stand firm against the tides of globalization. The future of Hungary: balance or isolation? Hungary stands at a crossroads, a nation defined by its geography, trapped between alliances and ambitions. Its central position in Europe has long been both a gift and a curse, the bridge between empires, and too often, their battleground. Today, that geography once again dictates its destiny. Viktor Orbán's Hungary has mastered the art of balance, buying gas from Moscow, receiving funds from Brussels, and inviting investment from Beijing. Yet this delicate game comes at a cost. Energy dependency on Russia leaves the country exposed. Political defiance toward the European Union isolates it within its own bloc. And growing alignment with China risks undermining its Western credibility. The question that looms over Budapest's skyline is not just economic or diplomatic. It is existential. Can geography continue to protect a nation that challenges the ideological currents around it? Or will Hungary's bid for sovereignty transform into solitude on the European stage? For centuries, Hungary has survived by adapting, shifting alliances, rebuilding after invasions, reinventing itself between East and West. But in a world where neutrality is shrinking, even balance becomes a fragile illusion. As the winds of geopolitics shift once more, Hungary faces a defining choice: remain the bridge between worlds, or become the wall between them. Can Hungary keep balancing between Brussels, Moscow, and Beijing? Can pragmatism outlast ideology? Can isolation ever be sovereignty? And how long can geography shield a nation from history? Thank you for joining us on this journey. Leave your reflections below, subscribe to the Geography channel for more geopolitical explorations, and share this video to expand the discussion. See you next time in our ongoing journey through history, power, and place.